Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chronicles of Darkness Vampire the Requiem, a Requiem for London. Tonight, we set the scene on Nikolai, who, after a spot of hunting, has decided to contact the individual who left him his contact details from before. Very elusive gentleman, difficult to find, but has left you with a trail to get in touch with him. If you text him asking to meet with him,
I will.
he will he directs you one second. He directs you to the Elysium at Westminster. The Nightshade Club, owned by the keeper.
All right. Well, as far as I'm aware, there's no bounty on my head. I haven't taken participation in the war directly at all. And from what I've heard from my sire, she hasn't exactly been outed yet. So I feel only mildly discomfortable about heading to Elysium. That being said, I will still bring several of my more discreet pieces of gear, such as a sweeper for bugs, a bugs themselves, a tracker, and a small little knife that I will hide on my person before I head to Elysium. Actually, wait, weapons are banned from Elysium even during full meat during this, so I won't bring the knife. But I will bring several pellets, which are basically smoke grenades. Small issue ones. Enough for a diversion, a distraction if I need to run away.
Okay. You begin making your way over to the Elysium. It's not a long drive. And you head into the car park. Find somewhere to put your car and get out. Within about 20 to 30 seconds of you leaving your vehicle, Could you roll me Auspex plus blood potency, please?
Zero successes.
Unfortunate. Okay, then as you begin to approach the club from round the back, it's the car box round the back. You feel someone place their hand upon your shoulder, and the very recognizable sensation of obfuscate being applied to your person. You see this guy.
Yeah. Glancing around, I'll go, "Oh, privet, comrade."
Oh, pardon?
Privet, comrade. It's hello in Russian.
Hey, what's up? How's your night's been?
The streets are gripped with fear. Everybody's watching the shadows.
Yeah, what else is
Makes
new?
it more difficult to move around. But otherwise, just dandy. You?
This is my environment. Everyone losing their mind, faces pointed all in one direction.
Makes it easier for us to move about, yeah?
Yep. It's the urban jungle at its finest. Kind of
Nods at that.
gives a smile underneath his balaclava.
Nikolai will look him up and down and go, "So, this is the third time we've met. The first time in private, yeah?"
Yeah, you have a couple of times where I wouldn't say it went ideal, but official business.
I see. So, what can this humble neonate do for someone so esteemed as you?
Wow. I've been having a word with some of my esteemed, what would you call them? Colleagues over the web. I've been watching your budding career with some interest. With your introduction into the real circles of power in this city, thought it would be a wise time to give you an offer that not many in the family get.
Raises an eyebrow at this. Oh, and what does this offer entail?
How
Mind
to
you,
break
my
the
loyalties
news?
are already. Sorry, what?
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Right. Or he'll go, oh, and what is this offer? I'm listening.
How to break this news? It's the frustrating part about anonymity. Always having to reveal the big secret in the end.
Oh, but that is what secrets are for the
Yeah, I
big reveal.
suppose. Big reveal. Well, they're only meant to be revealed to a few, I guess. But hey, you are one of those lucky few, so I don't really have any right to complain.
Nikolai will tilt his head.
What do you know about the Maquette as a clan?
Out of character, I know we're sneaky, where we have
Oh no, he means that he said that in character.
yeah,
Sorry.
in character, Nikolai will rattle off the detail facts he knows, which is a decent amount given that he's a cult expert in vampires.
Yeah, the Maquette, like a lot of clans, have a fairly
Yeah.
long and storied history with a multitude of origin tales.
So he'll lay out one or two of the origin tales. I haven't read the Maquette book in like forever, but I know they're
Awesome.
um, connected with the Shadow more than other clans. That they have a connection with a deeper connection with blood magic than normal, and that they are easier to um, fall to the banes of our um, mystical and physical selves. So,
Yeah, he gauges your response. Um, just sort of bobbles his head as he listens.
it's very clinical and professional.
Yeah, the shadows part. Well, that belongs to another part of the family. I'm sure you already ran into those. A few of them running around right now. The Cabot is what they call themselves. Control shadows, literally, not in the more conventional sense that we understand. No illusion of mind games. An offshoot of our own clan. You could call me one of those, although a lot younger than the Cabot. They've been around a long time.
Yeah, one of
And
the
it's less,
mysterious bloodlines I've heard about.
yeah, although less of a line and more of a web, which, to be honest, when you think about how bloodlines are made, it's more accurate, really. one of the links. You probably don't hear all that much about us, considering we don't tend to get around all that much, particularly with the Ordo. There's a few of us in there.
Tilts his head.
I focused more on sight than shadow. What about the connections between things? So I basically know your life story.
Blinks at that in kind of surprise. But doesn't really say anything at first before going. You say you can see into my past?
Nah, it's. I don't see into your past. Well, in theory, all I need to do that is ask the right questions with more conventional abilities. But now we focus on the sight as opposed to the shadow. See the connections between things, literally and metaphysically.
Tilts his head. Goes, that seems very useful.
Oh, it is. You see, right now you're giving off a dozen different strings that tie you to all these different places and people. One's attached to your phone. It's always the fucking phone. Kids these days. And I can follow those threads. Some are easier to follow than others, which can tell me you're connected to, you're bound to, what you like, what you don't like, who you don't like. Tells me a lot of things about me, even needing to ask a question. And if I really wanted to, I could take those connections, one of which is to me, and get rid of it, or attach it to myself.
Blinks at
I
that.
could even get you to believe I was your sire if I wanted. That'd be a bit of a dick move, so I won't.
Your power is that great?
Well, I'm proficient. I'm not an out and out master. We're quite young, been around less than a century.
Still, to have such manipulation, such fine tuning, to steal threads away from others, if what you describe is true, the implications are. Pauses for a sec. Well, I've never been one to believe in physical power over social power, as it were. The idea that you can so simply create a network of social engineering. Do not get me wrong, I fully believe that you're capable, but it still surprises me.
There's one thing I've learned in the past few decades that I've been around, it's that the blood's capable of doing a whole lot of things. A lot of which it really shouldn't be able to do. But well, if someone's determined enough, it can be twisted to do just about anything.
Thinks about majesty and thinks about majesty, domination, and then takes into account the capabilities of Aspect, and then just lets out a slow sigh and goes, "Yes, I suppose I can now see where it's coming from."
Yeah. I mean, those Kabit, for example. I mean, for a power we don't even have, they can just stick their hand into a shadow and make a fucking sword out of it.
Nods
Sky really is the limit.
and says, "I've seen that. Quite frightful."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's weird. Serves a purpose, though. They're probably one of the more productive members of the family. So I ain't got
Yes,
no problem with them.
the hunters. Always good to have.
Yeah, they're in short supply these nights. Need as many of them as we can get our hands on.
Nods at that. So why approach me about this?
Well, as I said, we've been monitoring your career. It's fairly easy to do when I can just look at you from like 100 miles away. But we were interested in seeing if you would be willing to join us. Of course, if you don't, then you're gonna have to forget this conversation ever happened. But
Nods slowly and goes, "What's the catch?"
well, the catch is you don't just go around screaming that you're a lynx. We we like to keep for a low profile here in London.
That is simple enough.
I'll let you tell your sire. I mean, I'm not that much of a stickler for the rules, but she's trustworthy enough. Blood's still blood. But
But you must you know well enough my loyalties are not for sale. They have already been bought and paid for.
you need not worry about that. We're all on the same side here.
Nods then and goes, "Very well.
Probably wouldn't have given you the offer if you weren't on the same side.
So you're offering me power, the ability to see something beyond the normal, what these peepers can normally see. And you say there is no real downside besides having to keep it a secret."
Well, ain't no liar. There is a catch. Like all branches of the family tree have. See, when you can perceive and work with all these connections, the catch is that, well, to see and manipulate them, you gain a certain dependence on them. It's not overwhelming. It's not the worst thing in the world. You're not going to spontaneously combust if you don't make a friend every other week, but we need to keep ourselves anchored more than the average kindred. You'll feel it. You'll know what I mean. It's very difficult to define, really. Difficult to describe to someone who can't yet see it.
Nod slowly at that.
But if you want to mess with the threads, you need to be attached to them. That's the catch.
Breathe in slowly, putting in an effort to actually do the breath as he'll go, "Right. Well, Then rubs his hands together as he says, I've never been too much of a loner to begin with. And hey, old Russian saying, family is the ties that bind us. Yeah.
It's more true than you think.
What will I have to do to join this oh so exclusive club?
The process itself is pretty simple. Can't do it here though. Too obvious. And also a bit informal. It's kind of an event. You know, being inducted into a bloodline, sort of a family celebration thing. So I can catch up with you in a night from now. We can make it a formal affair. I think my colleagues would get mad at me if I didn't. He
Not
rolls
at
his
that.
eyes. And you, well, we think you've got serious potential. You've been moving up in the world, making all the right calls.
Gives a chuckle and says, can you tell that to my sire?
The Sire's not the most objective party in the world, to be fair. They never are. Trust me, I know.
Nods at that.
And she'll still be a sire after you're inducted, you know. That part doesn't change.
I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, who knows?
Being her.
If your sire keeps making the same decisions that she's been making, she'll probably get the opportunity herself.
Thinks at that. He'll raise an eyebrow and go, oh, she's not part of one of these family branches?
Nah, proximity to too close in proximity to the former prince.
Nah, slowly at that.
Of course, it's no longer an issue. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, have you heard something I have not?
Well, obviously, she's not exactly the biggest fan of the prince anymore, and the prince isn't exactly the biggest fan of her.
This is true, but I thought he hadn't made. I haven't heard any announcements of him removing her from her post.
Well, he doesn't want to look weak in a time of war. If it looks like he's losing support from his closest advisors, well, who'd want to keep him? He's already in a rough enough spot. Well, you both know he's already trying to deal with her quietly. This was actually a pretty good cover for what might happen to her. If she's not careful.
We are both keeping our eyes out, watching each other, watching her back, making sure nothing might happen to her.
Yeah. The higher ups have got bigger issues to deal with than her right now, so I think she's going to live for a while longer yet.
Though I must admit, I find myself quite busy trying to figure out a way into this gauntlet. It seems designed to keep away our kind. I had thought
Wow.
so. Your offer of this family branch came at the perfect time.
Yeah, convenient that, huh? He says, still kind of giving a shit-eating grin.
He'll just grin back as he gets the joke. He'll go, and he'll say, I will keep this in mind. I look forward to the ceremony, as it were, celebration. Do you have any other advice for me?
Try not to die between now and then.
Aye. Good advice. Always good advice. Old Russian saying, don't die.
Man, you guys have a lot of ways of stating the obvious.
It sounds better in actual Russian.
Well, I'm sure it does.
And he'll hold out his hand as things seem to be. He doesn't seem to have much more to say to him.
Welcome to
Then
the family, man.
He'll shake it and go, thank you, thank you.
Don't worry about it.
And then he'll turn.
Oh, I do have a question for Nikolai. Out of character.
Right. Yeah.
Does he intend to tell anybody about this conversation or what he was offered?
No.
Okay.
He might mention it if he comes into contact with his sire beforehand. He might mention it to her, but that's about it.
Okay. That's fair. I'm sure you know why I'm asking that question.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here before the keeper decides to take a walk outside. He's probably one of the few people who can actually see through my office gate.
Blinks at that and files that into his little files that into the back of his head. He goes, this is or he'll just nod and go, well, then we better skedaddle. And he'll start turning to head back to his car.
Mm-hmm. When you do, your associate is already gone, as if he was never there at all. Do you wish to talk to your ghoul, or do you wish to
he's
Okay.
going to now go talk to his ghoul. This is actually the first time he's ever actually talked to his ghoul in person. He's
Okay.
always kept the shadows and slowly been turning him without actual explanation or anything.
All right.
But
I'll just oh, to go on.
it's been a couple of days. He's let the feelings, the news, the change, ruminate in Kennedy. So it's time to go approach this man for the first time.
All right. I'll just I'll be real quick, but then I'll be right back. I'm sorry about that. I'm back.
Welcome back.
Back for our regularly scheduled broadcast. So you begin driving on over to Mr. Braben's house.
Right. What do I know about Mr. Braven besides he's ex-Gauntlet with a grudge against them?
Um, ever since he's lost his job at Gauntlet, his life's been pretty stagnant. Uh, he's he lives in working class red brick house. Attached to a whole bunch of other buildings down the road. Lives alone, doesn't seem to have a partner, although he does get around every now and then.
Right.
And has attempted to apply for position within the police force, but has not been able to get a job among the London Met.
Do we know why?
Doesn't appear to be any specific reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm assuming I would have, before going him, had him reach Blood Bond 3. So I know that he's home right now. I can sense him through our connection. So I'll just pull up, park a little ways off, and walk up to his house. I'm going to keep Obfuscate on until I get to the door. Just level 1 Obfuscate. Keep my face regular plain uninteresting Joe. Before I'll walk up, I'll drop Obfuscate and knock.
Okay. Knock on the door. Takes a little bit. Before long, you can see a figure in the tinted window walk up and begins to slowly open the door. Can see the eye peer through the crack in the door as it's opened, and then when it sees you properly, it rather he freezes in place, not entirely sure what to do.
Nikolai will wave a little and go, "Howdy, can I come in?"
They silently open the door for you. Sure.
Step in. Candy, right? The name's
Yeah.
Nick.
Nice to meet you, Nick.
So, I'm sure you have a bunch of questions running through your head right about now. Let's go into the living room and talk.
Yes, sir. He closes the door behind him, locks it, closes the porch door, locks that, and you head straight out into the living room.
Nikolai will sit down without being offered a seat. He'll just sit in the couch and then just look at Nick with a half-cocked smile. By the way, he's talking in a slight. Right now, he's talking more in a slightly European accent or British accent with only a trace of his Russian accent.
Okay.
And he'll just sit and go, "So, any idea who I am?"
We've never met before, so no. He's completely off kilter.
Yeah.
But he's completely compliant as well.
Sit down, Nick, and I'll explain. Or sit down, Kennedy, and I'll explain some stuff to you.
Oh, okay. He sits down. With a contradictory mixture of reticence and eagerness.
Yeah. Most folks call me Nick. I am a bit of a fixer, a bit of an information broker. But I'm also something more than that. And recently you've gotten my attention. Have you felt different the last few days? Maybe strong, maybe a little faster, quick on your feet?
I've been feeling very strange recently. Some odd compulsions, I've been feeling really hungry, also very energetic, powerful even.
Nods at that and goes, "That's my doing. I've seen to it that I've been chosen you for a special mission of sorts. You seem a little lost recently. I decided to help you out there." "I'm here to offer you a job. Come work for me. Come serve me, and I'll make sure these feelings continue. The power, the prestige. Hell, I'll even help you with that little gauntlet problem you've had in the past."
Oh, really? Wow, this is kind of too good to be true. This is insane. I don't really know how to respond to all of this. Um, uh, sure, anything you say.
Keep in mind, I took special interest in you because I know I've read about your past, I've heard about you. But in return, I expect obedience. Are you good with that?
Of course, it comes with a job.
Good, good. So, before we get started, I should reintroduce myself. Like I said, I'm Nick. I am. Quick question. Self character. What is London's policy on telling ghouls their nature?
Um, some princedoms care about it, others don't. It's really up to the individual for the most part.
Right.
The masquerade is flexible enough that it generally allows for ghouls to be introduced to their true natures and masters.
Right. I mean, he's not going to probably tell this guy right away. He will go. I'm a little beyond human. I'm something a bit different. But we'll get to that in a bit once you've proven yourself. For now, let's just leave it at I have the serum that gives you your unique condition. So, that being said, I do have some questions for you about Gauntlet, and I'm hoping you can answer them for me and shed some light on the corporation. And I'm going to start going through a list of questions, asking him stuff like if he knows the different board members on the place, if he knows about any of the current security details, like, one second. Like, for example, if he knows about any of the people who have access to the more secure areas, maybe any like janitors or anything like that that might know. Basically, I'm trying to, outside of my current research, I'm trying to get a little bit more information on Gauntlet itself, figuring he might know stuff.
Mm.
I'm not hiding that I'm planning on breaking into Gauntlet from him because I've already told him I'm planning on helping him get even with them.
Yeah, it's so this is quite a lot to go through here. I'll just give you the cliff notes. He knows more about the compound outside the city than the offices in the city of London, although he's been to both several times, and is associated with numerous people. Associated with numerous individuals who are part of both aspects of the business. As he goes through the nature of the compound, doesn't strike you as particularly. There's definitely opportunities there, but they don't appear to be as significant. It's largely it's effectively a training ground, a sort of an academy, effectively. is where there's a lot of weapons and hardware. It's where all the weapons and hardware are stored. Um, Getting into the compound is generally quite difficult, as there is a lot of security is very heavy at all times of the day and night. There's armed personnel on the site 24/7. CCTV is very tight. Getting to the hardware requires, or getting through any door requires a key code that you have to put in manually. Security at the office buildings are not as heavy on the security side, or not as heavy on the manpower, no on personnel. But there is a lot of personnel at all periods of the day and night. And electronic security is even more significant for certain parts of the building. The server rooms and the boardroom offices require how to put this, an organic passcode, effectively fingerprints. Access to these areas are, funnily enough, held by the same people who can access various areas in the compound as well. Held by 2 individuals. The first is Cynthia Gauntlet. The second is Dominic Larson, who appears to be a personal aide to Miss Gauntlet. There are a couple of other board members who have similar privileges, but not all of them possess the luxury. There are no less than effectively 3 layers of security. You got organic, electronic, and then there's just getting into the building in the first place. So it's a very heavy security setup from all angles. But you have a couple of names now that you could go to.
Yep.
Obviously, Gauntlet wouldn't be one of those names,
but that's a bad idea. Dominic is probably her goal. You said is it fingerprints or retinal scans?
Fingerprints.
All right. So with my background,
sorry, I was just going to say you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if your technological background, you know the way fingerprint scanners work is sort of similar to how touchpads work, and that it relies on the electrical current flowing throughout the body, so it probably wouldn't work if you just cut off a finger. So you'd need to get the person there potentially.
Or a person with electrical current and then fake fingerprints.
Could also do that. You do have multiple avenues from
Yep.
to work with.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to tell him we'll be in touch. This information helps a lot. He's been taking notes this entire time. He'll hand him his card and say, "Now, before I leave, do you have any questions for me?"
Many, but I wouldn't want to keep you or anything.
He'll blink and go, "I have about 20 minutes if you will ask away."
How did you track me down, if I may ask?
He'll pause and think about that for a sec. Then go, "I've taken some interest in Gauntlet myself. And I was looking into ex-members of Gauntlet. Or other different security ops. And your name came up in police records as a potential."
What about the what is this? What of this serum you say you have? And how is it connected to me?
Blinks and goes, "I have this right now. You have from how should I put this? Or the serum I've given you. I've already given you one dose of it. Is what's making you feel more energetic and powerful. But at the same time, it's connecting you to me. If you want to continue to feel this way, to feel this strong and powerful, you will continue taking the serum."
This is a look of confusion on his face. Doesn't really understand what you're trying to tell him, but
Yeah.
he knows it at least makes him feel good. He doesn't know how you gave him a dose. You can tell on his face he clearly considers asking that question but doesn't.
Yeah. Nikolai will pause, let him think over any other questions, if he has any other. Otherwise, he'll get up to leave.
What's the rate for the job?
He'll nod and go. He'll just nod at that and head to the door as he does. And he'll say, "I expect great things from you, Mr. Kennedy." Before he starts quickly unlocking the door to step outside of it.
How much am I getting paid? Bye.
Yep. Oh, he asked how much he was getting paid. I thought he said thanks for the job.
No, he was asking what the rate
Sorry.
was.
He'll just say, "We'll discuss that after Gauntlet."
Of course, that's fair. Um, of course. I think that's all I have for now. That's okay.
All right. And he'll get up and do the "I expect great things from you, Mr. Kennedy," as he heads to leave. And I think that's where we can call the scene.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
As Kennedy is left confused, frightened, hopeful, still feeling powerful. And that's all in this scene. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye bye.